here from your past is a gift. So how are you guys going today after all these videos? Okay, so today I wanted to touch on the topic of deserving love. So we've talked about deserving money for a few videos, and now I want to talk about what happens when we've decided somewhere along the line that we are unworthy of love. Now, for this one, I have to go back to my childhood and I have to relive my life, the first 20 years of my life that I had with my mum. Now, my mum lost her parents when she was 5. For those of you who haven't seen that video yet, and they passed away, okay? And then she was adopted by an aunt that already had many kids of her own. So she adopted my mum and her siblings. And they were very poor at the time. So my mum was a burden to this aunt. And she never missed a moment to make sure, that my mum knew this, that she was unwanted, by this aunt, and that she was a burden, but she had no choice than to take her in, okay? Because she was the only family at the time that could, that was there to take her in. Anyway, so I've grown up in my first 20 years of my life watching my mum and her patterns. And it wasn't until I started doing this process with my beautiful book in the last 5 years that I've understood so much about her. Now, as a child, I remember watching my mum struggling with obesity. Now, I'm talking about, a person, a woman that is a size, when I was little, I hadn't started school yet, she was already a size 18, going on to a 20. And as the years progressed, she just got bigger and bigger, okay? And I would see when we went to the shops and she'd look for clothes. And in those days, because we're talking 40 years ago now, that I'd see the shame in her eyes or how embarrassed she felt when she'd go to look for clothes and they only had up to a size 16 in a lot of the shops. They didn't have the plus sizes that we have now. And many times she'd end up going to men's shops, to get pants or to get a top or to get, and I could see how she felt in her face. She never said anything. But, as a child, we interpret a lot. We absorb a lot. People don't give children their credit, but they don't miss a thing, And so that was one of the things that my mum took on board, as someone that felt unwanted. She resorted to food, and how that comforted her. She also resorted to food because growing up they were very poor, and so she didn't have food. A lot of the times they went hungry, same as my dad. And so to her, there was that despair that it may not be there. There was always an abundance of food in the house, always, in our house growing up. And I think it was that fear of the lack of food, from her childhood, that she never wanted to go through that again. But at the same time, it created this problem with her weight. Now, I want people to understand, when I talk about weight, I'm not talking about how it looks physically, okay? I'm talking about the feelings and the emotions that go with it, because I know from watching my mum that she felt embarrassed going out. She felt embarrassed that she was so big. She felt ashamed of who she was, but she didn't know how to stop this. For the longest time, she did many diet courses. She did the Weight Watchers and she did the Jenny Craigs and she did whatever other, weight loss courses were out there. And for a time, the weight came off for a bit. It would work, but the issue was she wasn't resolving why she was doing that. She wasn't looking at, we didn't know back then. We didn't know the process of how to look at what you're doing, why you're doing it, to be able to turn that around. Because until you can look at why you're doing things a certain way, why you are stuck in certain patterns, you can't do something different with your life. You can't change. until you've looked at, why you're doing it, where that came from, where it started, the origin of it. So today I want you to think about that. I want you to think about, if you have a weight problem, because a lot of people use that as well to push others away because they're ashamed of who they are. My mum felt unwanted. That was one way for her to push others away, to this weight. She'd use that to feel ashamed of who she was and block others out. So I want you to think about that today. Are you using that to push others away? Are you using that as a comfort for you? But at the same time, you're not letting others in. You're using it. You're using your weight, as a barrier. So I want you to think about that. Think about why. Why are you using your weight as a barrier to push others away? That's the most important question. Are you feeling that you're unwanted? And that you're not worthy of love? Because this is what was, given to my mum as a child. Very, very little. She was 5 when this started happening to her. And so she's gone into the rest of her life, believing that she's not worthy of love. And so she used that her whole life, thinking, with that fear of letting others in, they'd see who she really is, that she's not worthy of love, and they'd walk away. This was her belief. So I want you to think of what your belief is. What's holding you back today? From taking care of yourself, from getting your health back. What's stopping you? All right, big question, very important question for many, many people out there today. So I really want you to think about it. Really think about why, where it all started, how it began. For you, because everyone's different. Maybe you've had a similar situation to my mom. You were made to feel unwanted and unworthy. Unworthy of love. Maybe you were made to feel unlovable. So I want you to think about all of that. Because until you do, you can't turn it around. You can't change. You'll lose the weight. You'll go to one of the courses and lose the weight. But then with time, you'll go back to your old patterns. You can't help it because you haven't resolved anything inside of you, of who you are. Okay? So I want you to really think about it. All right, my lovelies. So remember to click like and subscribe below so you don't miss any of the videos. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? Thanks for watching. Bye for now.